in UTSA. Now, Pete Thamel, ESPN. Sources, after a weekend of conversations, continued momentum toward the ACC, adding Stanford, Cal, SMU. Officials are working on gathering the presidents and chancellors on a call, which is expected to take place at some point early this week. I think I saw with Nicole Arbach, Chris Vanini had a story in The Athletic on Sunday about that meeting could come as early as like today or tomorrow.
I think it's
as far as the ACC. We'll see what happens there.
It's today, and I think the thing to be determined today is, do they get to a point where they can have a vote today? Which, if they can have a vote, it means they think it's going to pass. You know, I guess
you don't take this a vote again if you don't have it locked up.
No.
Otherwise, it's just you might as well forget it if they don't pass it this time.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, this is the ultimate marriage of convenience when it comes to expansion. Like, this one is the one that only makes sense in that, well, this conference needs to expand to keep pace with everybody else. These teams need a place to go, so let's do it. I don't think it's going to, kick up ratings or anything like that like it would for USC playing Michigan. But, if the schools have a place that they're going to be able to keep their advantages, then I hope so. And I hope for SMU that this works out for them and they can take that step.
You're in the minority, Paul, I think.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that don't want SMU to get this ACC opportunity. There's a lot of people that would rather see Cal and Stanford flail in the Mountain West or the Conference USA or whatever American than see them get a lifeline from the ACC. I think it is pretty obvious what's going on, and it's something that we talked about at the end of last week. I think the ACC is setting itself up to not have to go make the realignment moves in a few years. They're just going ahead and doing it right now. And, we talked about that at the end of last week, that's the only thing that really makes too much sense of just why this, other than the fact that there's obviously a couple teams in need of a landing spot that need to know where they're going. But outside of that, why is this like on the front right now? And especially when you know that a few million here and there is not necessarily going to solve all your Florida State, problems or Clemson problems or Miami problems or whoever's, anticipating on having an issue with the way the league's structured moving forward. I think that they know that and they realize that. I think they also know that what else are they going to do? What other possible option do they have to increase the money? They're not getting their deal reworked. Now, I know that they can get reworked, as Brett McMurphy, I believe, was the one that pointed out, if a certain number of teams leave, then that opens it up. But again, that's teams leaving to be able to open that up. So in the meantime, what can you do to increase money? You're not going to go land some big sponsor out of nowhere that all of a sudden is adding $10 million to everybody's pockets. You add teams, the pro rata adds money, and it's not life-changing money for any of these programs necessarily, but it is more than you were getting. And until they find a way out and until you find a better option, that's really all you can do. That's really all you can do is just add these teams to add a bit more money and hope that in the long run it ceases some of the agitation. But outside of that, you stay pat and everything else stays the same way it is, and then you eventually lose these teams, and maybe Cal's not available, or Stanford's not available at that point, or SMU's not available at that point. That's the only thing that really made sense and still makes sense with outside of just having a West Coast wing and all that, but really the money part of this and how it affects further realignment. I think this is just cutting it off the next problem at the pass, and that way you're already backfilled if and when those other teams decide to leave, a year from now or 5 years from now.
All right, now, one of the stories that was kind of smoking throughout the weekend was the possibility